In Venezuela, opposition parties and NGOs are condemning the arrests of activists and opposition figures ahead of protests against President Nicolás Maduro's third-term inauguration. The opposition Popular Will Party claims at least 19 people have been detained, citing increased repression. On the eve of Thursday's protests, which aim to prevent Maduro's controversial swearing-in, opposition leaders, including María Corina Machado, have called for mass demonstrations. Machado, who it claims her candidate was the rightful winner of July's disputed election, insists that freedom must be fought for. Meanwhile, pro-government forces are already showing their strength in the streets of Caracas, with security forces, militias and pro-Maduro bikers preparing for the tense standoff. Aditya, we are joined by our reporter Aditya. What are the updates on this story?
Well, absolutely. So far, the opposition party, opposition leaders have been arrested, and the opposition, because this Nicolás Maduro will be sworn in as for his third term. Earlier, Tom, let's just put this into perspective. Earlier when Donald Trump was first, when he had assumed presidency before 2022, he was the president of America. At that time also he had protested against this Maduro, Venezuela, and there America has been opposing this particular person, this Venezuelan president Nicolás Maduro in the past too. So no, because there are reports that he behaves like an autocrat, and there are things that that are not going down well under him. There was a time when the inflation in Venezuela had reached to an all-time high under this Nicolás Maduro's tenure. So this needs to be seen as to how this entire scenario is moved forward from here, since now the opposition parties are hell-bent opposing the third swearing-in of Nicolás Maduro. It needs to be seen from here. Yes, Tom, back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Aditya. We are joined for this discussion by Gautam Mukherjee and Joyita Basu, editor of the Sunday Guardian. Joyita, I wanted to come to you on this first one. Why are leaders like Gonzalez and Machado claiming they won this election?
Yeah, because you see, according to unofficial, of course, the government is saying that Maduro had won the election, but unofficial claims are being made that I think he had got something around 2.4 million votes, and the opposition got over 6 million, 3 times the vote. I mean, that is what the opposition is claiming, because there are widespread charges of rigging and unfair, illegal electoral practices, and that is the reason why there is reason to believe, that's why there's reason to believe that Maduro may not have won the elections. And even international bodies and countries and institutions, world institutions, they are saying that Maduro did not win this election. So that is the reason why the opposition is now up in arms against him. There is widespread protest, because if that is the correct figure, the opposition won actually 3 times the vote of what Maduro won. So automatically that means, at least 2/3 of the country is unhappy with Maduro. So if that is the case, if 2/3 of the country is unhappy, there is bound to be unrest, and this unrest has become now visible. So yes, that is the reason why. It is not just the opposition mobilizing, there are common people also who are mobilizing against the government. And what we are hearing about, there are serious reports of repression that are coming in, muzzling of the press, of course. And you see, the problem with Venezuela has always been, Hugo Chavez also, when he was there, what is known as hyperinflation. Okay, so that is something that people are finding very difficult to bear. So that is why there is so much turmoil in that country. It's a classic case of number one, a banana republic, basket case, economy gone down the drain. Too many freebies and all, this is what has happened.
Gautam, I wanted to ask you, we've obviously seen, as Joyita said, we've seen international support for the opposition over there. I was wondering what could result in this. Could there be violence?
There could certainly be violence. There has been violence ever since the elections took place. And after that, it keeps cropping up from time to time because Maduro refuses to accept the verdict and he refuses to vacate. He is the incumbent. In addition to that, America doesn't like him and wants him out. He uses that as a device to try and drum up support amongst the faithful, if not the opposition. How long he'll be able to hold on is anybody's guess, but he does have the power of the state on his side. He's got the weapons, he's got the army. So this is a situation in which he is able to repress the popular uprisings, he's able to repress the opposition and carry on. But it is an unstable situation, definitely.
Could we see any international intervention on this possibly at all?
Overt international intervention in a domestic, rigging affair, if you like, is unlikely. Covert is more than likely, probably operating already, including monies being paid to sustain the opposition. I would say the CIA must be very active. So will Maduro survive any length of time? That remains to be seen. But at the same time, Venezuela is oil rich. Maduro personally is very rich. So if he finds it very uncomfortable, he may well go into exile to bring this to a close, go into exile with a lot of money, pelf. And then it's okay to effect the regime change that the Americans would like to see.
Joyita, I was wondering, could increased international attention pressure Maduro's government to allow fair elections?
Well, there has to be some international, fair elections. When you're talking about the whole process is in the hands of Maduro. No, but how will the international, at the most what they can do, they can impose sanctions. They already have a lot of sanctions. So, right now I do not see in any kind of intervention except for maybe threats of more measures. But then you see what happens when the international community takes such action is that it is the people who tend to suffer, because you see it is for them that the inflation goes up and all. So, right now I do not see what the international community can do except for expressing their support for the opposition, because power, the army, the police, the military, everything is in the hands of Maduro. So, what exactly can, unless there is a actual uprising, say for example, what happened in Bangladesh, okay, there was an uprising and Hasina had to flee. So, we have seen what has happened in Sri Lanka. So, unless these, it is called a color revolution, what happened in Ukraine. So, unless some kind of a color revolution takes place, I am certain the US in fact is trying for something like that, but it will all depend on, but a whole lot of lives will be lost of people, because Maduro is bound to use the army and the military against the people if they rise up in protest. So, until and unless the army has decided that it is going to switch sides and no longer support Maduro, I think this is going to continue, but yes, backroom deals, etc., underhand support. So, it has to be seen whether they can repeat another Bangladesh here.
Thank you very much for both of you for joining us.